The stars looked different from this distance. Captain John Miller stood on the bridge of the UESS Horizon, watching the unfamiliar patterns of light through the main viewport. Humanity had finally done it. After centuries of dreaming, they had developed faster-than-light travel and pushed beyond their solar system. "Captain, we're picking up an unknown signal," said Communications Officer Diane Foster. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. "It's not matching any known human frequency." Miller straightened his uniform. "First contact," he said quietly. The bridge fell silent as the weight of the moment settled on the crew. They were about to become the first humans to meet an alien species. "Put it on screen," Miller ordered. The viewport shifted to show a ship unlike anything humans had designed. It was curved like a crescent moon with glowing blue lines running along its hull. "They're hailing us," Foster said. "Open the channel." The alien that appeared on screen had pale blue skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. It spoke, and the ship's computer attempted to translate. "Human vessel. This is Commander Zex of the Zentari Exploration Fleet. You have entered our territory." Miller swallowed hard. The Horizon wasn't supposed to be in anyone's territory. They were in what humans had thought was unclaimed space. "This is Captain John Miller of the United Earth Spaceship Horizon. We apologize for any trespass. We are peaceful explorers from Earth." The alien's upper eyes narrowed. "Your technology is impressive for such a young species. Power down your engines and prepare for boarding. We will examine your vessel." Lieutenant Eric Wade shifted uncomfortably at the tactical station. "Captain, they're scanning us. Deep scans into our ship systems." Miller shook his head. "Commander, Zex, with respect, we cannot allow boarding without proper diplomatic protocols." The alien made a sound like stones grinding together. "You misunderstand. This was not a request." The view screen went dark. "They've cut communication," Foster said. "Captain, they're powering weapons." "Shields up," Miller commanded. "All hands, to battle stations." The Horizon rocked as the Zentari ship fired its first shot. "Shields at 60%, reported Wade. "Their weapons are unlike anything we've encountered." Miller gripped the arms of his chair. "Return fire targeted at their weapon systems only." The Horizon fired back, but the shots seemed to do little damage to the alien vessel. "They're attempting to lock onto us with some kind of beam, Chief," Engineer Susan Clark said over the comm. "It looks like they're trying to disable our systems." "Can you block it?" Miller asked. "I can do better than that," Clark replied. "I've been working on an experimental defensive protocol." "With your permission?" Another hit rocked the ship. "Shields at 40%, Wade warned. "Do it, Clark," Miller ordered. Deep in engineering, Susan Clark activated her protocol. She had designed it to create a feedback loop in any system that tried to invade the Horizon's computers. It was untested against alien technology, but they had no choice. The effect was immediate. The Zentari ship's blue lines flickered and went dark. It drifted in space, apparently powerless. "What just happened?" Miller asked. "Their systems tried to hack ours," Clark explained, a note of surprise in her voice. "My protocol reversed the signal and overloaded their primary systems. I didn't expect it to be that effective." For 10 long minutes the Horizon waited as the Zentari ship floated dead in space. Then slowly some lights returned to the alien vessel. The communications console beeped. "They're hailing us again," Foster said. Commander Zex appeared, but the arrogance was gone from his posture. "How did you—" he began, then stopped. "We underestimated you humans. This will not happen again." The Zentari ship limped away, its engines glowing weakly. Lieutenant Wade turned to Miller. "Should we pursue?" Miller shook his head. "No, but record a message for transmission across all frequencies." He stood up straight, knowing that this moment would define humanity's first impression on the galaxy. "This is Captain John Miller of Earth. We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves. Remember the Horizon." Wade sent the message not knowing that within days it would spread across alien networks. The legend of human vessels had begun. 6 months after the Horizon incident, humanity had built a small diplomatic station at the edge of the Milky Way. The station rotated slowly against the backdrop of stars, its silver hull gleaming in the light of a distant sun. Inside, Ambassador Daniel Green adjusted his uniform nervously. "They'll be here any minute," said Lisa Peterson, his young aide. She handed him a tablet. 12 species have accepted our invitation." Green nodded. After the encounter with the Zentari, Earth's governments had united in an unprecedented way. They needed to establish peaceful relations with their galactic neighbors quickly. "I still think this is too soon," Green said. "We barely understand their languages." "The translation software has improved," Lisa assured him. "And after what happened with the Horizon, we need to show we're not just warriors." The station's alert system chimed. "The first ships are arriving," announced the station's AI. Green and Lisa walked to the large viewing window. Ships of various designs appeared one by one. Some were sleek and streamlined, others bulky and angular. Each one represented a different alien civilization, a different way of thinking. "It's working," Lisa whispered. "They're actually coming." The aliens entered the diplomatic chamber in groups. Some walked on legs like humans, others slithered or floated. Green greeted each delegation with careful respect, following the cultural protocols they had hastily researched. The meeting progressed well until the arrival of the Krell. They were tall reptilian beings with armored skin and eyes that glowed yellow. Their leader stepped forward, towering over Green. "We are the Krell Imperium," he announced, voice rumbling through the translator. "We rule 300 systems. You will surrender your defensive technology as a safety measure." The room fell silent. Green kept his face neutral, though his heart raced. "I'm afraid that's not possible," he replied. "We come to establish peaceful relations, not to surrender our means of defense." The Krell leader's scales bristled. "Your species is too young to possess such power. The incident with the Zentari proves you are dangerous." "We defended ourselves," Green countered, "as is our right." "You have no rights here," the Krell hissed. 6 of its warriors moved forward, weapons appearing in their clawed hands. Mary Grant, the station's communication officer, reacted quickly. She pressed a button on her wrist device, broadcasting on all frequencies. The alien delegations backed away as the Krell surrounded Green and Lisa. "Final warning," said the Krell leader. "Surrender your technology." Green stood his ground. "We will not." The Krell raised his weapon, but before he could fire, the station shook slightly. Outside the viewing window, 5 human ships appeared as if from nowhere. They had been waiting, cloaked, just out of sensor range. "This station is under the protection of Earth," came a voice over the communication system. "Krell forces, power down your weapons immediately," the Krell leader laughed. "Your ships are small, ours will crush them." 3 massive Krell warships decloaked, moving toward the human vessels. What happened next would be discussed in hushed tones across 3 galaxies for decades. The human ships moved with impossible speed and precision. They fired not at the Krell ships, but at specific points on their hulls. In less than 2 minutes, all 3 Krell warships hung disabled in space. Inside the station, the Krell warriors' weapons suddenly powered down. "What is this?" demanded their leader. "Targeted electromagnetic pulse," Green explained calmly. "Non-lethal, but effective." Security officers entered the chamber, escorting the Krell back to their shuttle. As they left, Green turned to the remaining alien delegations. "We come in peace," he said firmly. "But we draw a line here. Cross it, and you will regret it." Within days, news of the incident spread across the galaxy. Alien species began referring to the Green Line, a boundary that no wise being would cross. Human vessels, once ignored, were now given wide berth in space. The diplomats had shown that humans were not just capable defenders, but that they could win without bloodshed. Somehow, that was even more frightening. Frank Adams sat in the dimly lit research lab of the UESS Explorer, listening to alien chatter. As a science officer specializing in alien communications, he had spent weeks recording and translating messages from across the stars. What he heard made him uneasy. "Computer, play message cluster 5 again," he said. The speakers crackled with an alien voice. The humans disabled 3 warships in less than 2 minutes. They didn't even target life support systems. They could have killed everyone but chose not to. This is not mercy. This is a show of power, another voice responded. I heard their ships can become invisible. They could be anywhere, watching us. Frank sighed and rubbed his tired eyes. After the incidents with the Zentari and the Krell, rumors about human capabilities had spread rapidly across the 3 galaxies. Most of these rumors were wild exaggerations, but they were changing how aliens viewed humanity. Officer Adams, called the ship's AI. Captain Martinez requests your presence on the bridge. Frank found Captain Olivia Martinez studying a star chart. The explorer was mapping unexplored regions of space near the border between the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies. You asked for me, Captain? Martinez nodded. We're picking up a distress signal. Proxian vessel under attack by pirates. Your thoughts? Frank considered. The Proxians were a peaceful trading species that had been friendly to humans. We should help them, he said. Even though we're outgunned 4-1, Martinez asked, pointing to the sensor readings. If we don't, everything we've been trying to prove about human intentions will be questioned. Martinez smiled. I agree. Battle stations. The explorer changed course, accelerating toward the pirate ships that surrounded the Proxian vessel. The pirates flew ships cobbled together from stolen technology, making them unpredictable and dangerous. They're hailing us, said the communications officer. On screen, Martinez ordered. A rough-looking alien appeared, skin gray and leathery. Human vessel, this is not your concern. Leave now. This is Captain Olivia Martinez of the UESS Explorer. Release the Proxian ship immediately. The pirate laughed. You are 1 ship. We are 4. Your math skills need work, human. Martinez smiled. Thinly. So do your survival skills. Last warning. The pirate ended the transmission. The 4 pirate vessels turned toward the explorer, weapons charging. Tactical report, Martinez commanded. Their ships are heavily armed but have poor shields, replied the tactical officer. They're spreading out to surround us. Martinez nodded. Prepare for the Rivera maneuver. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. The explorer suddenly cut its engines, allowing momentum to carry it forward while it rotated on its axis. As the pirate ships closed in, the explorer fired precision shots at each ship's weapon systems. 2 pirate vessels lost weapons immediately. The explorer then accelerated straight toward the largest ship, passing so close that the pirates panicked and veered away, colliding with the 4th ship. In less than 3 minutes, all 4 pirate vessels were disabled, floating helplessly in space. Secure the pirates and free the Proxian vessel, Martinez ordered. What no one on the Explorer realized was that the Proxians had recorded the entire battle. The footage spread quickly across alien networks, along with the message, "Human vessels carry death." Days later, in a secret meeting room on a distant planet, intelligence officers from 7 species gathered to discuss the human problem. They must have been engineered by an ancient species, suggested one officer. No natural evolution could produce such warriors. Perhaps they are the ancient species we've all feared would return, said another. A third officer placed a data chip on the table. Whatever they are, we need to learn more. I propose a test of their capabilities. They all nodded in agreement, not realizing they were about to make a grave mistake. The myth of human invincibility was growing, and soon they would help it grow even more. The message arrived at Earth Central Command with great ceremony. The Galactic Alliance, a powerful coalition of 7 major species, had invited humanity to join their ranks. It was an honor that few young spacefaring races received. Security. Chief Paul Johnson read the invitation for the 5th time in his office. Something felt wrong. Computer, show me all data on Alliance membership protocols, he said. The screen filled with information. Every new member had to pass certain tests. Most were diplomatic or economic. But one line caught Johnson's attention. Military capability assessment required. Johnson called an emergency meeting with Fleet Command. They want us to prove ourselves in a combat exercise, he explained to the gathered officers. 5 ships against a simulated threat. Admiral Rita Spencer frowned. This soon after the incidents with the Zentari, Krell, and those pirates? They're not testing us. They're studying us. Exactly, Johnson agreed. This is reconnaissance disguised as a welcome party. But we can't refuse, said another officer. It would look like weakness or hostility. After hours of debate, they decided to accept the invitation but to prepare carefully. Captain Kevin Taylor was selected to lead the mission. His ship, the UESS Defender, along with 4 smaller vessels, would participate in the Alliance's test. The 5 human ships arrived at the designated coordinates in neutral space. Representatives from the Alliance welcomed them from a large observation vessel. Captain Taylor, said the Alliance diplomat, a tall being with silver skin. We are pleased you accepted our invitation. The test is simple. Defend yourselves against a simulated attack from unmanned drones. Taylor nodded politely. We're ready when you are. The human ships moved into formation as the Alliance representatives withdrew to a safe distance. Johnson had warned Taylor to expect trickery, so he kept his crews on high alert. Sir, said Taylor's sensor officer, I'm detecting ships decloaking all around us. 30 vessels heavily armed. Taylor's face remained calm. So much for unmanned drones. Battle stations. The Alliance ships formed a sphere around the human vessels, completely surrounding them. Their trap was sprung. Human Captain, came a transmission from the lead Alliance ship. Do not be alarmed. This is merely a more realistic test of your capabilities. Taylor smiled grimly. Of course it is. All ships, prepare for the Taylor maneuver. The Alliance had expected the humans to either surrender or fight conventionally. They were prepared for both scenarios. What they were not prepared for was what happened next. The 5 human ships suddenly accelerated to maximum speed in 5 different directions. The Alliance ships fired, but the humans had timed their movements perfectly to slip through gaps in the firing pattern. Then, instead of escaping, the human vessels looped back and targeted specific systems on the Alliance ships. They didn't aim for weapons or life support. Instead, they targeted navigation and communication systems with precise measured shots. Within minutes, 20 of the 30 Alliance ships were spinning out of control, unable to coordinate with each other. The remaining 10 tried to regroup, but the human ships were too fast, too precise in their attacks. What is this? Demanded the Alliance commander, as his ship's systems failed one by one. It's called fighting dirty, Taylor replied over the comm. You set a trap, we sprung it on you instead. When it was over, all 30 Alliance ships were disabled but intact. Not a single life had been lost, but the Alliance fleet would need days to repair their systems. As the human ships prepared to leave, Taylor sent one final message. We appreciate the invitation to join the Alliance, but we must respectfully decline. We prefer honest partners. News of what people now called the Taylor maneuver spread quickly through the 3 galaxies. The Alliance, embarrassed by their failed trap, withdrew their invitation. Yet strangely, human diplomatic standing improved. Species that had been wary now sought trade agreements. The Alliance members themselves, once they recovered from their humiliation, treated human representatives with new respect. Fear, it seemed, was a powerful diplomatic tool. And the fear of human vessels was growing by the day. Dr. Linda Howard stared at the test results on her screen. After 3 years of research, she had finally done it. The quantum shielding project was a success. Computer, run the simulation again, she said, barely able to contain her excitement. The screen showed a virtual ship being hit by energy weapons. Instead of absorbing or deflecting the attack, the new shields captured the energy and redirected it. It was like turning an enemy's strength against them. Linda called her supervisor. It works. The quantum shield works. 2 weeks later, the new technology was being installed on the UESS Venture for field testing. Engineer William Scott supervised the installation, checking every connection personally. Be careful with that, he told his team as they connected the main power coupling. If this works the way Dr. Howard claims, it will change everything. The Venture was a research vessel, not designed for combat. But with tensions still high after the Alliance incident, all human ships needed better protection. The quantum shield was the perfect solution. Defensive, not offensive. Captain Alice Burton gathered her crew on the bridge. Our mission is to test the new shields in the Tau Ceti system. It's supposed to be uninhabited, so we should have privacy. The Venture departed Earth the next day. The journey to Tau Ceti was uneventful, but when they arrived, sensors detected an anomaly. "Captain, there's a space station hidden behind the fourth planet," reported the sensor officer. "It's not on any of our charts." Burton frowned. "Whose is it?" "Unknown, but I'm detecting human life signs. Prisoners, maybe?" Further scans revealed the truth. Viridian pirates had built a secret base and were holding human scientists captive. The pirates were forcing them to develop new technologies. "We need to rescue those people," Burton said, "but the Venture isn't a warship." William Scott stepped forward. "Maybe we don't need to be. If the quantum shields work as designed, we might have a chance." Burton considered their options. The offer. Viridians had 3 warships protecting their station. The Venture wouldn't stand a chance in a traditional fight. "Mr. Scott, how confident are you in your shields?" Scott straightened his back. "Very confident, Captain." Burton nodded. "Then let's introduce ourselves." The Venture approached the pirate station openly. As expected, the Viridian ships moved to intercept. "They're hailing us," said the communications officer. A Viridian face appeared on screen. The aliens had 4 eyes and gray skin that looked like stone. "Human vessel," the pirate leader said. "You have entered restricted space. Surrender or be destroyed." Burton smiled. "This is Captain Alice Burton of the UESS Venture. Release your human prisoners immediately." The Viridian laughed. "One small research ship against 3 warships? You are either brave or stupid." "Neither," Burton replied. "We're just well equipped. This is your final warning." The Viridian ended the transmission. Moments later, the 3 pirate ships opened fire. "Quantum shields activated," reported Scott from the engineering station. The energy weapons hit the Venture, but instead of damaging the ship, the shields glowed brightly. The energy seemed to flow around the hull, gathering at the forward emitters. "Shields, at 120% capacity," Scott said in amazement. "The system is working even better than expected. We're storing their attack energy." Burton nodded. "Return their fire, Mr. Scott. Let them taste their own weapons." Scott pressed a button and the collected energy shot back toward the lead pirate vessel. The beam was more powerful than anything the Venture could normally produce. It cut through the pirates' shields like they weren't even there. The pirate ship drifted, its systems overloaded. The other 2 vessels quickly retreated. What the humans didn't know was that several merchant ships from different species had witnessed the battle from a distance. Within days, stories spread about how a single human research vessel had defeated 3 pirate warships using their own energy against them. Alien scientists began working frantically to develop countermeasures against the new human shields. But every simulation failed. There seemed to be no way to attack a human vessel without making it stronger. In private communications between alien governments, humans were now referred to as the untouchable species. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Council was unlike any in memory. Representatives from all major species gathered on the neutral space station Harmony. Fear filled the air. "Zorlian space has fallen," announced the council leader, a tall being with translucent skin. "Their entire defense fleet was destroyed in less than a day." Murmurs of horror spread through the chamber. The Zorlians were an advanced civilization with powerful ships and weapons. If they could fall so quickly— "Show the recordings," ordered the leader. The central display activated, showing massive black ships unlike any seen before. They moved, like liquid shadows absorbing energy weapons and conventional attacks without damage. Where they passed, planets went dark. "The Void Collective," explained the leader. "They come from beyond our galaxies. They have already taken 12 systems, in 2 weeks." Captain Andrew Baker of the UESS Sentinel watched the recordings with growing concern. He was the human representative at the meeting, sent to gather information rather than to speak. But something caught his eye. "Excuse me," he said, standing up. All eyes turned to him. "Can you replay the attack on the Zorlian command ship?" The council leader nodded, and the footage played again. Baker watched carefully as a void ship destroyed the Zorlian vessel. "There," he pointed. "Slow it down." The footage slowed. Just before the Zorlian ship exploded, it fired a particular frequency of scanner beam. For just a fraction of a second, the void ship's hull seemed to ripple. "They reacted to that scanning frequency," Baker said. "It caused them discomfort." The aliens looked at each other in confusion. "We've tried all weapons," said the Zentari representative. "Nothing works." "This wasn't a weapon," Baker explained. "It was a standard Zorlian biological scanner, operating at 15.8 gigahertz. Baker requested permission to send his findings to Earth. The Council agreed immediately, desperate for any advantage. Within hours, Commander Nancy White, Earth's top tactical officer, was studying the footage. "Captain Baker is right," she told Admiral Richard Cooper. "The void ships have a vulnerability to that specific radiation frequency." Cooper looked grim. "Can we use it?" "Not as a weapon directly," White explained. "But we could create a radiation field that would disrupt their ship's functionality, make them vulnerable to conventional attacks." Cooper nodded. "How soon can we modify our fleet?" 3 days if we work around the clock." "Do it." As they prepared, news arrived that the Void Collective had taken 5 more systems. The Alliance, once proud and powerful, sent a desperate message to Earth. "We request human assistance," the message read. "Our remaining forces will submit to human command." Cooper and White presented the request to Earth's leaders. The decision was unanimous. "We accept," Cooper told the Alliance. "Not because we've forgotten your previous betrayal, but because this threat faces all life in our galaxies." The Alliance representative looked shocked. "You would help us? After what we did?" Cooper's face was stern but not unkind. "Humanity defends life, not just human life." 3 days later, Operation Firewall began. A fleet of 200 human vessels, joined by the remaining ships of the Alliance, moved to intercept the Void Collective's main force. The human ships had been modified to emit the specific radiation frequency that disrupted Void technology. They formed the front line, creating a wall of radiation that would weaken the enemy. As the fleets approached each other, Admiral Cooper sent a message to all ships. "Today we fight not for Earth, not for humanity, but for all life in our 3 galaxies. Show them why no species dares to engage human vessels." The Void ships entered the radiation field. As predicted, they slowed, their liquid-like movements becoming sluggish. For the first time since they appeared, the Void Collective seemed vulnerable. The battle began and the universe held its breath. If Operation Firewall failed, 3 galaxies would fall to darkness. But if it succeeded, the legend of humanity would grow even greater. The human vessels surged forward, leading the charge against an enemy that had never known defeat. The battle against the Void Collective lasted for 3 days. Human vessels led each attack, their radiation fields weakening the enemy ships enough for the Alliance forces to damage them. But victory came at a great cost. 67 human ships were lost. The Alliance lost more than twice that number. The final push came when Admiral Cooper realized something important. "The Void ships keep coming from the same direction," he told his officers. "They must have a stable entry point, a rift between their space and ours." Captain Karen Nelson of the UESS Dauntless studied the battle maps. "Here," she pointed to an area of empty space. "All attack waves originate from this region." Cooper nodded. "If we can close that rift, we can stop the invasion." Scientists quickly determined that the rift could be collapsed using a powerful energy surge, but someone would need to deliver that surge directly to the rift. It would be a one-way mission. "I volunteer the Dauntless," Captain Nelson said without hesitation. Cooper looked at her with respect. "Are you sure, Karen?" Nelson nodded. "The Dauntless has the strongest quantum shields in the fleet. If anyone can get close enough to that rift, it's us." The plan was set. While the main fleet engaged the Void ships, the Dauntless would slip through the battle and reach the dimensional rift. There, it would overload its engines and release all the energy from its quantum shields directly into the rift. As the Dauntless prepared for its mission, Nelson addressed her crew. Anyone who wishes to leave may do so now. Transport shuttles are standing by. Not a single crew member left the ship. The final battle began at dawn. Human and Alliance ships attacked the Void Fleet with everything they had. The Dauntless used the chaos as cover, speeding toward the invisible rift. Void ships are turning to intercept us, reported Nelson's first officer. Maintain course, Nelson ordered. All power to shields and engines. Enemy fire struck the Dauntless, from all sides, but its quantum shields held. Absorbing the energy and growing stronger, the ship pushed forward, coming closer to the rift than any ship had before. Finally, they reached their destination. Sensors detected the dimensional tear, a wound in the fabric of space itself. Begin the overload sequence, Nelson commanded. Her engineer looked up with sad eyes. It's been an honor serving with you, Captain, Nelson smiled. The honor was mine, for Earth and for all life. The Dauntless's engines began to glow as they built toward critical mass. The quantum shields pulsed with stored energy. Just before the end, Nelson sent a final message to the fleet. The rift will close. Complete the mission. Remember us. The Dauntless exploded in a burst of light so bright it was visible across the battlefield. The energy surged into the dimensional rift, causing it to collapse in on itself. The remaining Void ships, cut off from their home dimension, became disorganized and were quickly destroyed. Operation Firewall was a success, but at a terrible price. In the days that followed, the three galaxies mourned alongside humanity. The Alliance, the Zentari, even the Krell paid tribute to the brave crew of the Dauntless. The Galactic Council called a special session. For the first time in its history, the Council chamber observed a moment of silence for fallen warriors. Then, in a unanimous vote, they approved the construction of a monument to human bravery. It would stand at the center of Council space, a reminder of sacrifice and courage. Michelle Garcia, Earth's chief diplomat, used this moment of unity to negotiate the Three Galaxies Accord. The new treaty established rules of engagement between all spacefaring species and included one specific clause: no vessel shall engage a human ship without direct provocation. The accord was signed by every major species, including those who had once been enemies of humanity. Meanwhile, alien scholars began to study human history with new interest. They were shocked by what they found: centuries of conflict, war, and violence. Their home world forged them in fire, and wrote one alien anthropologist. Earth was so harsh that only warriors could survive there. No wonder they fight as they do. The question is not why humans are such formidable opponents, but how they learned mercy at all. 20 years had passed since Operation Firewall and the signing of the Three Galaxies Accord. Human vessels now patrolled trade routes across all three galaxies, ensuring peace and safety for all species. Commander Stephen Mills walked through the busy market on Centauri Station. The station was a melting pot of different species all doing business together. He noticed how aliens moved aside when they saw his uniform, their eyes showing a mix of respect and fear. Mills had joined Earth Fleet after hearing stories about the Dauntless and its brave sacrifice. But in his 10 years of service, he had never fired a weapon in combat. No one dared to challenge human ships anymore. Commander Mills, his communication device buzzed. Report to the Guardian immediately. The UESS Guardian was the flagship of the patrol fleet, commanded by Captain Laura Hughes. Mills found her in the ship's intelligence center studying reports. We have a problem, Hughes said. Someone is selling fake human ship identification markers on the black market. Mills frowned. Pirates? Hughes nodded. They're disguising their ships as human vessels to scare off potential targets. It's working too well. 3 trade convoys have been raided in the past month. That hurts our reputation, Mills said. What are our orders? Find the source and shut it down, Hughes replied. The Guardian will be your command for this mission. Mills and his team spent weeks tracking the fake IDs. Their search led them to an abandoned mining facility in the Triangulum Galaxy. As they approached, sensors detected a large vessel hiding behind the facility. It's a Krell warship, reported the sensor officer. One of their older models. Mills was confused. The Krell had signed the accord. Why would they be involved in selling fake human IDs? The answer came when they scanned the ship more carefully. It wasn't a military vessel anymore. It had been converted into a smuggling ship by pirates who had stolen it years ago. They're using old Krell tech to manufacture the fake IDs, Mills explained to Captain Hughes. We should move in and... An alarm cut him off. Emergency signal from Sector 14, called the communications officer. A Zentari science vessel is caught in a solar flare. Their shields are failing. Hughes checked the map. That's 2 hours away at maximum speed. But the smugglers will have to wait, Hughes decided. Those scientists will die without help. Though, Guardian changed course, pushing its engines to the limit. They arrived just as the Zentari vessel's shields collapsed. The solar flare bathed the alien ship in deadly radiation. Get them into our shadow, Hughes ordered. Extend our shields around them. The Guardian positioned itself between the Zentari ship and the star, stretching its quantum shields to cover both vessels. The strain on the systems was enormous, but they held. When the flare passed, the Zentari ship was damaged, but intact. Its crew was safe. The Zentari captain hailed them. Thank you, Captain Hughes, you saved our lives. Hughes nodded. Just doing our job. But why? Asked the Zentari. Our species tried to destroy yours when we first met. The Zentari were the first to attack humans. Why would you risk your ship to save us? Hughes smiled. Because that's what makes us human. Later, as the Guardian escorted the Zentari ship to a repair station, Mills joined Hughes on the observation deck. Did you mean what you said to the Zentari, Captain? He asked. Hughes looked out at the stars. Every word. Humans could have ruled these galaxies through fear after the Void War. Instead, we chose to protect. That's why no species dares to engage human vessels now. Not because they fear our weapons, but because they would have to face their own shame. On a distant planet in the Grand Hall of the newly built Academy of Galactic Studies, a veteran alien scholar addressed his students. Today we begin our study of humanity, he said. You will learn why no species in 3 galaxies dares to engage human vessels. Many think it is because of their advanced technology or their fighting skills. These things are true, but incomplete. The scholar activated a display showing the UESS Guardian extending its shields to protect the Zentari ship. No species dares to engage human vessels not because they fear human vengeance, but because they cannot bear to face human mercy. In the crucible of their violent history, humans forged not just weapons, but compassion. They fight not because they love war, but because they love peace enough to defend it. He looked at his students with solemn eyes. Remember this lesson well. The humans protect us all now, not as conquerors, but as guardians. And that is why we dare not engage them, not out of fear, but out of respect.